Hi everyone, welcome to another book review. This one is for Shadow Flicker by Gregory Bastianelli, I'm guessing is how you say that. And I just read this on my phone as a free arc from NetGalley. Let me pull it up on Goodreads. When I looked at this on Goodreads, it doesn't give an age range. I am saying this would be found if you go to a bookstore library in the adult section. And it's only classified as horror. So I am trying to see when the release date is. March 22nd of 2022, at least according to Goodreads. I don't know if I'm assuming because I'm in the US and that's what domain I'm on, that's where it will come out. So in March. I gave it 3 stars. So this book, you're following Oscar. And Oscar is basically an insurance agent that works for some kind of insurance company who have taken on this big company called AeroSource. And what happened is that AeroSource, if I'm saying that right, has bought land from some farm owners on a place called Kidney Island, and they set up wind turbines. And people are starting to complain about this because there's a constant hum, and there's this effect called the shadow flicker, which is a real thing. At least it is mentioned. It's very real, but it's highly exaggerated in the book. So people are complaining they get headaches, people start acting weird, animals start acting weird, like busted through fences. The description on the book says that this one guy he makes dandelion wine, and he just starts shoving dandelions in his mouth to the point that he starts to choke on them. So there's something really weird. People just disappear is another thing. So anyway, Oscar is tasked to go and talk to the people that live close to the turbines that are suffering these effects to find out exactly what's going on, how long it's been happening, could there be any other factors, and things like that. But things start acting a little weird. Let me also start off by saying this does have a male-male, or it did have a male-male romance. But in the start, like within the first 2 chapters, you find out that Oscar and his partner broke up. Be aware that there is some negativity toward people that are in a same-sex relationship. And it's just to help build, there is a point to it. You just don't find out really the point until later on in the book. But it's basically to build up the hate and animosity that you would have toward a particular character, which won't show up again until later in the book. So that's part of that. So obviously Oscar's thinking about, his ex-boyfriend or ex-partner, and that kind of comes to his mind frequently and crops up quite a bit. And just the feelings and confusion that he has towards that, and the fact that his partner's now in this way different relationship than Oscar would have ever dreamed of. But so that's kind of like a side little thing. Helps you build a little empathy and pity for Oscar. Basically what this comes down to, so he's investigating, you have several different people. There is one part that I found the creepiest, had to deal with a cow, and I guess there's, at least in this book, it is bad luck to have a cow that is brown and white instead of the usual black and white. It's considered very bad luck. And let's just say at least 2 or 3 spots in the book, this one spot where it looks like the cow has 2 heads pops up. Really weird, and people act very weird. So it is strange. I did give it 3 stars. I was compelled enough to continue reading it. At times I did feel like it dragged a bit. There wasn't a lot of description. Sometimes, at times. Other times it was fine and I became more immersed in it. At other times it felt like I was just listening to someone, even though I was reading it. It would have been equivalent to just listening to someone talk about this event that happened to them and not going into great detail as far as other little things that you might think are important, or would help add some color to the story, so to speak. So there is something that goes on with these turbines, wind turbines. Okay, so, and I can't really say what it is because that would be a spoiler, but one thing I will say is you do come to learn that there's something going on, kind of like another one. It's the best way I could describe it is it's like there's one plane of existence overlapping another plane of existence, and you're starting to pick up on that, and you have to kind of figure out where one ends and the other begins, or how to get from one area to another, or to stop them overlapping, and things like that. So that does come into existence as well. I don't know if I remembered, but people do go missing. Sometimes you think you see them in the shadow flickers at the times just right. Again, animals act weird. Like there's this one part that also comes up a little bit where the seagulls on this island just freak out and they're swooping in and out of each other, kind of like they're doing a little dance in the air. Just strange. I'm trying to think. There's this teacher that Oscar meets, or he's really an ex-teacher. It kind of alludes to what he may have been fired over, or lost his job over, and it kind of seems a little ew-ish. Kind of like something's not quite right with this individual, and you do get that vibe with a lot of them. Some of the people are just on this island are mean, and others are nice, and I don't know, it was fine. I am willing to pick up more works by this author. I don't think I'll reread this book again, especially since this is definitely one of those horror books that once you read it once, you're pretty much good, because any additional read after that would lower your rating and you may feel bored and DNF it, at least in my opinion. The writing was fine. I don't think it was anything extravagant or anything like that, but again, that's just my opinion. So I personally like books that are a little bit more descriptive in certain areas. At times it had this, but I felt like it just wasn't quite there for what type of description I wanted, or often enough. So there's that. I do like the fact that the ocean is a big part of it. One of my fears did come true in this book. What happens to be with a big sea creature like a squid. Yeah. That was a little disturbing for me to read. But it wasn't so disturbing that it really bothered me, just because of the lack of description. So it was just kind of like, okay, there it is. This is happening. I don't like it. If this happened in real life, I'd be peeing my pants and screaming at the top of my lungs, type of scary. But it just didn't get to that point, just because of how the descriptions were. But I do recommend the book. If you do like horror, and like things that take place on islands, on and around the seas, you'll like this. If you're looking for a horror that has queer rep in it, or LGBTQIA plus rep, this has that in there. Specifically male. I don't see, and if it's, I want to say there was no female relationship or anything else. I think it was just strictly the male, and it was more of like a past relationship that kept being reflected back on. That's the extent of that relationship that you get. There is a man who does have an affair on his relationship with another woman. So there is that. If that is bothering to you, just be aware of that. Yeah. So I really don't know what else to say about this because I don't want to spoil big twists that, and that's, yeah, I just don't want to spoil big twists, especially if you think this is something that you would be interested in. We have here in Utah, there is an area that has some wind turbines, and I want to say like 2 hours away from my house. So it's quite a ways away from my house. And I always do get a little unsettled, just the thought of like looking up at the very top of them, and just kind of uneasy. They just give me weird vibes. And I know there's nothing wrong or screwy or creepy or anything like that. It's just, I get a little unsettled. So that's just me. And to have this book centered around wind turbines and what they are used for in such a negative way was interesting, to say the least. But yeah, no, it was good. There's another creepy part was when someone ended up in someone else's bedroom, just kind of staring at the person in the pitch black, and then all of a sudden they're gone. So, and that's just a very fleeting moment. So I can definitely say that. So, but that's really all I can say. It was good. I don't think I'll reread it. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe if enough time has passed that I kind of forget some of these big plot twists, then I'll consider rereading it. But I suspect if I don't let enough time pass, then it will be lowered from a 3-star down to probably like a 2-star or a complete DNF if I don't let enough time pass. It's definitely one of those books that you have to have enough time between reads to enjoy it. Especially, that's the thing with horror. Once you know those twists, sometimes you've got to really give significant time between rereads to try and forget some of the stuff that happens. So that's really all I can say for this review. So if you've read this book, definitely let me know. Let me see if I want to pull up Goodreads and see if this author, that's one thing I did not check to see, was if this author has any other books out. Yes, he does. Has some other books out. So I'll definitely be checking into some of these other books. There's a book called Snowball, Joker's Club, and Loonies. So I did like the writing enough. I'll definitely check out the other books, but I think those will be definitely things that I will check out from the library rather than buying, just because I'm still kind of unsure about this particular writing style, but it was fine. So I am definitely intrigued enough to check out more work by this author. I just don't know if I'm intrigued enough to spend money on a book, but definitely will check him out from my library at some point. So that'll be it for this review-esque, I guess you could call it, for this review. So until next time, stay true to yourself and enjoy a good book, and I'll talk to you later.